Sometimes we think gratitude is something small, a quiet whisper of Alhamdulillah at the end of the day, a passing acknowledgement of the blessings we can see. But in reality, gratitude is one of the most powerful spiritual tools Allah has given us. It is a lens that transforms how we see our lives, our hardships, and even our pain. When a believer practices true, they don't deny their struggles, they rise above them. Gratitude is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of purpose. It is the realization that Allah never stops giving, even when life feels heavy. In Islam, gratitude is not just an emotion. It is a form of worship, a pathway to abundance, and a shield against despair. Allah promises, "If you are grateful, I will surely increase you, not only in blessings, but in peace, clarity, and strength." And as we step into 2025, a year filled with uncertainty and expectations, gratitude becomes the anchor that keeps the heart steady. It allows us to notice the miracles hidden inside our routine, the mercy wrapped inside every delay, and the wisdom behind every closed door. Gratitude doesn't change your circumstances. It changes you. It shifts your story from fear to trust, from scarcity to abundance, from restlessness to deep spiritual contentment. When gratitude lives in your heart, nothing in this world can make you poor, and nothing in this world can take away your peace. Gratitude transforms the heart before it transforms your circumstances, because real change in life doesn't begin with what happens around you. It begins with what happens within you. When a person learns to see through the lens of gratitude, their inner world shifts first. Their perception becomes clearer, their anxiety softens, and their heart becomes more anchored in trust. And when the heart changes, the entire experience of life changes, even if nothing externally has shifted yet. Gratitude is not an escape from reality. It is a way of returning to it with a deeper sense of presence and purpose. It is the quiet realization that every breath you take is a gift, every moment is an opportunity, and every difficulty carries a hidden mercy that you might not understand today, but will one day thank Allah for. When a person begins to practice gratitude, their heart becomes less dependent on external outcomes. The world can be chaotic, unpredictable, and disappointing. But gratitude teaches you that peace is not found in having a perfect life. It is found in recognizing the blessings already present in your imperfect one. Gratitude cleanses the heart of entitlement and replaces it with humility. It takes you from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" This shift alone is transformational. It replaces resentment with reflection, frustration with understanding, and fear with trust. Even before a single circumstance changes, you begin to feel lighter, calmer, and more connected to the one who controls all things. Gratitude also changes the way you interpret your challenges. Instead of seeing a hardship as a punishment or a blockade, you start to see it as a doorway. You recognize that Allah never closes one path without opening another. You begin to understand that every delay carries wisdom, every loss carries a lesson, and every test is a sign that Allah is near, shaping you, strengthening you, and preparing you for something greater. Gratitude doesn't erase your pain, but it allows you to carry it with grace. It turns struggle into strength and scarcity into sufficiency. You start to realize that what you still have is always more than what you've lost. And what Allah has written for you is always better than what you were desperately holding onto. This inner transformation often leads to outer transformation as well. When gratitude fills your heart, you naturally attract more goodness into your life. You treat people with more kindness, you speak with more gentleness, and you act with more sincerity. Gratitude softens the edges of your personality. It makes you more present in your relationships, more aware of the blessings in your daily life, and more willing to give to others from a place of abundance rather than fear. And when your character changes, your life changes. People respond differently to you. Situations unfold more smooth. Opportunities appear where you once saw obstacles. Blessings increase not because circumstances suddenly become perfect, but because your heart becomes receptive enough to notice and appreciate them. Even spiritually, gratitude opens doors that nothing else can. A grateful heart is a heart that remembers its Lord. It is a heart that recognizes that everything, ease and hardship, gain and loss, joy and sorrow, comes from Allah with purpose. Gratitude strengthens your connection with Him because it reminds you that He is constantly giving, constantly protecting, constantly guiding. The more you thank Him, the more you trust Him. And the more you trust Him, the more peaceful your life becomes, regardless of what is happening on the outside. When gratitude lives inside you, you no longer wait for life to be perfect to feel content. You begin to feel content first, and that contentment slowly brings more beauty into your life. This is why true gratitude transforms your heart before anything else. It reshapes your mindset, resets your priority set, and redefines your sense of abundance. You start to realize that your worth has nothing to do with what you possess, and everything to do with the richness of your soul. And once your heart is transformed, the world around you begins to transform in ways you never expected. Shukr is a form of worship that brings divine increase in more than just material blessings, because its essence is not limited to the tongue that says the thirst Alhamdulillah, but the heart that recognizes the giver behind every gift. In Islam, gratitude is not simply good manners, it is an act of worship that deepens your relationship with Allah. When a believer practices shukr, they are acknowledging that everything they have, everything they experience, and everything they survive comes from the one who knows them better than they know themselves. This acknowledgement alone lifts the soul, humbles the heart, and opens the door to blessings that go far beyond what the eyes can see. Shukr is the worship that transforms your life without you realizing how, because Allah's promise is not sought symbolic, it is real. If you are grateful, I will surely increase you. That increase is not confined to wealth or status. It extends to peace, clarity, guidance, healing, and a deeper sense of spiritual abundance. When you practice shukr sincerely, you begin to notice that Allah increases you in emotional strength. Suddenly, the challenges that once felt overwhelming feel manageable. The burdens that felt heavy feel lighter. Gratitude gives you the ability to carry what you once thought would break you. It strengthens your heart by reminding you that you are not walking through life alone. You are walking with the one who controls every outcome. This spiritual reassurance becomes an inner increase in patience, in resilience, in hope. You begin to see that shukr doesn't only add to your blessings, it multiplies your inner capacity to handle life with grace. Shukr also brings an increase in perspective. You start seeing life differently. Instead of noticing what is missing, you become more aware of what is already present. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, you begin to appreciate what went right. Gratitude shifts your gaze from what you lost to what Allah allowed you to keep. And this shift in perspective changes. Your heart begins to calm, your mind begins to clear, and your inner world becomes more stable. This is an invisible increase, a quiet gift from Allah that changes your experience of life even when your circumstances stay the same. There is also a profound spiritual increase that comes with shukri, an increase in closeness to Allah. When you thank Him in your moments of ease, He strengthens you in your moments of hardship. When you remember Him through His blessings, He remembers you through His mercy. Every time you say Alhamdulillah, you are drawing nearer to the most merciful. And that nearness is a blessing that no material possession can ever compare to. It gives you a sense of grounding, a sense of belonging, a sense that every moment, even the painful ones, has divine purpose. Shukr transforms your emotional environment as well. A grateful heart becomes a softer heart. It becomes harder to hold grudges, harder to live with resentment, harder to complain endlessly about life. Gratitude dissolves negativity the way sunlight melts darkness. You begin to speak more gently, treat people more kindly, notice the beauty in the small things, and respond to life with more patience. The increase here is emotional intelligence, compassion, and empathy, qualities that enrich your relationships and bring peace into your home and interactions. Even your opportunities increase with shukr. A person who is grateful carries a different energy, a calmness, a confidence, a sense of contentment that draws good things toward them. People trust those who express gratitude. They feel comfortable with them. They feel inspired by them. This naturally opens doors, not through magic, but through the quiet wisdom of Allah's promise and the beauty of your transformed character. Shukr makes you a magnet for care, good decisions, good relationships, good outcomes. And then there is the increase that only Allah sees, the increase in your record of good deeds. Every moment of gratitude is written. Every whisper of a crushed Alhamdulillah is counted. Every acknowledgement of His blessings becomes a witness for you on the day of judgment. So even if life doesn't always reflect the blessings you hoped for immediately, your soul is being filled, your scale is being enriched, and your hereafter is being prepared with light upon light. This is why shukr brings divine increase in more than just material blessings. It enriches your faith, your heart, your relationships, your mindset, your resilience, your emotional world, your spiritual closeness, and your final destination. Shukr doesn't just change what you have, it changes who you become. And that transformation is a blessing far greater than anything the world can offer. Recognizing Allah's gifts helps you survive hardships with deeper trust and inner strength, because the moment you become aware of how constantly Allah is taking care of you, your heart begins to steady itself even when life feels unstable. Hardships feel heavier when you believe you are carrying them alone. But when you start noticing the blessings that surround you, the breath in your lungs, the people who love you, the doors that open for you, the moments you were protected without even knowing it, something shifts inside you. You begin to realize that the same Lord who granted these blessings is the one who is guiding you through your pain. And that realization becomes a source of strength that no hardship can break. When you truly recognize Allah, you don't see your hardships as random or meaningless. You see them as part of the same divine plan that gave you every moment of ease. You begin to understand that the Allah who gave you joy did not suddenly abandon you in sorrow. The one who answered your past prayers is the same one who is responding to your current struggles, perhaps with wisdom you cannot yet see. This awareness creates a deep sense of trust. Instead of panicking, you begin to surrender. Instead of questioning why things are happening, you start believing that something purposeful is unfolding. This trust does not remove your pain, but it gives your pain meaning. And meaningful pain is always easier to carry than hopeless pain. Recognizing Allah's gifts also helps you shift your focus during hardship. Pain has a way of narrowing your vision until all you can see is what hurts. But gratitude expands that vision again. When you force yourself, even in suffering, to acknowledge the blessings around you, your heart opens to a bigger picture. You begin to notice the small mercies Allah places within your hardship, a comforting friend, a moment of unexpected relief, a lesson that strengthens your character, or a setback that saves you from a greater harm. These realizations remind you that Allah is still with you, still guiding you, still surrounding you with His mercy even while testing you. This recognition builds inner strength. Hardships no longer crush you in the same way because you know they are crafted by a wise Creator, measured precisely for your growth, not your destruction. You begin to understand that every hardship comes with a spiritual training, a way to purify you, elevate you, and bring you closer to the person you are meant to become. When you know that Allah never burdens a soul beyond what it can bear, your mindset shifts from, I can't handle this, to, Allah believes I can, so I will. That shift alone is a powerful form of strength. Recognizing Allah's gifts also softens the fear of the unknown. One of the deepest sources of anxiety during hardship is the fear of what comes next. But when you look back and remember how many times Allah has rescued you, healed you, guided you, blessed you, and relieved you, your heart becomes less frightened of the future. You start believing that the one who carried you through your past will carry you through what's coming. This belief is not never-be optimism. It is spiritual remembrance. It is knowing that Allah's mercy has never left, so it will not leave you now. Furthermore, recognizing Allah's gifts humbles the heart in a way that makes hardship easier to endure. When you acknowledge that everything you enjoy is a gift, you stop expecting life to always match your comfort. You understand that ease is a blessing, not a guarantee, and hardship is a test, not a punishment. This humility groundsment. You stop fighting reality and start walking through it with grace, remembering that Allah's wisdom is always greater than your own. And perhaps one of the greatest strengths that comes from recognizing Allah's gifts is the way it protects your heart from despair. Despair takes root when you believe your life has nothing left to offer. But gratitude uproots despair by reminding you that every day still contains signs of Allah's mercy. Every blessing, no matter how small, whispers to your soul, Allah is still caring for you. And that whisper alone is enough to keep the heart alive, hopeful, and connected. So recognizing Allah's gifts does not just make you feel better. It makes you stronger. It deepens your trust. It steadies your spirit. It gives you resilience that hardship cannot break. It transforms pain into a pathway, loss into learning, and struggle into closeness with the one who is always with you. And when your heart is anchored in this awareness, no storm in life can drown you, because you know the one who controls the waves is guiding your boat with perfect wisdom. Gratitude makes you see miracles in the ordinary and purpose in the painful, because it opens the eyes of the heart in a way that allows you to recognize the divine fingerprints scattered throughout your life. Most people search for miracles in extraordinary events, a sudden breakthrough, an unexpected blessing, a dramatic shift in circumstances. But the truth is, miracles are often hidden in the simplest details: the morning light, the quiet breath in your chest, the warmth of a handshake, the smile of someone who loves you, the ability to stand after falling. Gratitude awakens you to these subtle gifts. It reminds you that the ordinary moments you rush past are actually extraordinary displays of Allah's mercy. Your life becomes full of beauty not because it becomes perfect, but because your heart becomes aware. When gratitude enters the heart, even the smallest things feel meaningful. A glass of water becomes a reminder of Allah's provision. A peaceful walk becomes a moment of connection with the Creator. A single answered prayer becomes a sign that Allah hears you. Gratitude shows you that you do not need grand gestures from the world to feel blessed. You only need the ability to notice the gifts you already have. The ordinary stops being ordinary when you realize it was placed in your life by the one who knows exactly what yours exactly. This inner shift transforms your daily routine into a series of spiritual encounters, subtle, delicate, and filled with divine tenderness. But gratitude doesn't stop at the pleasant and easy moments. It also gives purpose to the painful ones. Pain feels empty, confusing, and unbearable when you see it as random. But when you approach it with gratitude, even if that gratitude is heavy and difficult, you begin to see that pain itself carries wisdom. Gratitude does not mean you thank Allah for the pain itself. It means you thank Him for what He is shaping through it. It means you recognize that Allah's wisdom runs deeper than your understanding. You begin to see that hardship often brings clarity that comfort never could. Gratitude helps you look at your wounds differently. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you begin to ask, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" You start noticing how pain humbles you, how it softens your heart, how it cuts away illusions, how it brings you back to prayer, how it removes distractions, and how it makes you more compassionate toward others. Pain shapes your character in ways ease never will. Gratitude does not erase the difficulty, but it helps you see that Allah never allows pain without purpose and never sends hardship without some hidden mercy accompanying it. Through gratitude, heartbreak becomes a lesson in reliance. Failure becomes a doorway to growth. Delays become lessons in patience. Loss becomes a reminder of the temporary nature of this world. And loneliness becomes a space where you rediscover the companionship of your Creator. Gratitude teaches you to look for Allah even in the moments that feel empty. And once you learn to look for Him, you begin to see that He was never absent, not even for a moment. This way of seeing transforms you. Suddenly, your life stops looking like a random collection of events and starts looking like a carefully written story. Gratitude reminds you that every chapter has meaning, the joyful ones and the painful ones. You stop resenting your difficulties and start understanding that they are part of the journey that is shaping your soul. You begin to see how Allah places certain challenges in your path to strengthen you, certain delays to protect you, certain disappointments to redirect you, and certain losses to purify you. Gratitude helps you step back and see the bigger canvas of your life, where every stroke, light and dark, is part of a divine masterpiece. When gratitude settles into your heart, your relationship with life changes. You no longer wait for extraordinary miracles to believe you are blessed. You find miracles in the ordinary, and that alone changes your entire experience of living. You no longer fear pain as a sign of abandonment. You recognize it as a sign of transformation. When you look at your life through gratitude, you discover that nothing was ever wasted, not your tears, not your waiting, not your struggles. Everything becomes meaningful in the hands of the one who never stops giving. Gratitude gives you a new set of eyes that see blessings where others see nothing, and purpose where others see only hardship. And when your heart learns to see in this way, your life becomes richer, softer, and more deeply connected to Allah than you ever imagined. A grateful heart is protected from negativity, anxiety, and spiritual emptiness because gratitude builds a shield around the soul, a quiet, invisible fortress that guards your inner world even when everything around you feels chaotic. Negativity finds its way into a heart that feels deprived, forgotten, or overlooked. But when you practice gratitude, you constantly remind yourself that Allah has already given you more than you can ever count. This awareness naturally pushes negativity out. It becomes harder to complain endlessly when your heart is busy noticing blessings. It becomes harder to fall into resentment when you are consciously remembering mercy. Gratitude doesn't deny the struggles you face. It simply refuses to let those struggles define your entire existence. It teaches you to acknowledge pain without letting it replace your hope, and to face challenges without drowning in bitterness. Gratitude also protects you from anxiety, because many fears come from imagining a future where you are unsupported and alone. Anxiety grows when you believe you don't have enough, won't have enough, or aren't enough. But when you reflect on Allah's gifts, the ones you enjoy daily and the ones you were given in your hardest moments, your heart begins to trust that the one who took care of you yesterday will take care of you tomorrow. Gratitude anchors you in the present moment, pulling you back from the what-ifs that steal your peace. Instead of being overwhelmed by everything that could go wrong, you begin to feel reassured by everything that has already gone wrong. You start recognizing that the future is not in your hands And that realization becomes a comfort rather than a fear. Gratitude shifts your inner dialogue from, what if I fail? To, what if Allah is guiding me through something I can't understand yet? With this shift, the weight of anxiety begins to lift. Spiritual emptiness, too, has difficulty surviving in a heart filled with gratitude. Emptiness grows when you feel disconnected from yourself, from your purpose, and from your Creator. It grows when blessings feel meaningless and life feels directionless. But gratitude reconnects you instantly. Every moment of shukr becomes a moment of remembrance. Every time you say a burst of alhamdulillah from the depths of your soul, you turn your heart toward the one who gave you everything. That connection fills the spiritual void within you, softening the loneliness that often sits quietly in the background of daily life. Gratitude reminds you that you are never abandoned, never forgotten, never without a place to return to, because Allah is always near. A grateful heart naturally becomes more spiritually alert. You start to feel Allah's presence in the small things, in the way He protected you from harm you didn't see, in the way He placed the right person in your life at the right time, in the way He gave you comfort when you need it. The more you recognize these gifts, the closer you feel to Him. And the closer you feel to Him, the harder it becomes to feel spiritually empty. Gratitude becomes a constant whisper that connects your daily life to your spiritual reality. Negativity, anxiety, and spiritual emptiness all share one trait: they grow in darkness. Gratitude brings light. It illuminates the blessings you forgot you had, the resilience you didn't know you possessed, and the nearness of Allah that you sometimes overlooked. This light doesn't erase life's problems, but it exposes the hope hidden within them. A grateful heart sees not only what is wrong, but also what is still right. And this balance is what keeps the soul steady in turbulent times. Gratitude also changes the emotional atmosphere inside you. When you focus on blessings, your heart becomes softer, more compassionate, more patient. You stop reacting impulsively. You stop absorbing every negative comment or disappointment. Gratitude gives you a spiritual filter, allowing in what nourishes you and letting go of what harms you. You begin to choose peace over anger, understanding over judgment, patience over panic. Slowly, your inner world becomes a safer place to live. Even relationships benefit from gratitude. When your heart is grateful, you become less demanding, less resentful, and more appreciative of the people around you. Negativity has less space to grow because your focus shifts from flaws to blessings, from expectations to appreciation. This change makes your interactions gentler and more loving, creating an environment where peace naturally thrives. In the end, a grateful heart is not just a heart that says thank you. It is a heart that recognizes Allah's presence, trusts in His wisdom, and feels sustained by His mercy. Such a heart cannot easily be shaken. It cannot be consumed by negativity, overwhelmed by anxiety, or hollowed out by spiritual emptiness. Gratitude fills it with light, strength, and spiritual richness, turning it into a place where faith grows, where hope survives, and where peace lives. Practicing gratitude in 2025 can shift your mindset from fear of the future to trust in Allah's plan, because gratitude trains your heart to stop obsessing over what might go wrong and instead focus on what has already gone beautifully right by the mercy of Allah. Fear of the future grows when you imagine tomorrow without remembering who controls tomorrow. It grows when your mind wanders into endless what-ifs, forgetting the countless times Allah has carried you through situations that once terrified you. But when you make gratitude a daily habit, when you intentionally pause to acknowledge the blessings, protections, opportunities, and moments of divine wisdom that shaped your past, your heart begins to soften. It becomes less afraid of what you cannot control and more certain of the one who controls everything. In 2025, the world feels fast, unpredictable, and constantly changing. New worries appear every day. Financial concerns, health anxieties, uncertainties about relationships, pressures from society, and fears about global instability. Many people carry a silent burden, the fear of the unknown. Yet gratitude gently interrupts this heavy cycle. It pulls your attention back to the present moment, where Allah's mercy is active and real. When you practice gratitude, you are reminding yourself, Allah has brought me this far. He did not abandon me yesterday, and He will not abandon me tomorrow. This remembrance transforms fear into reliance, and reliance into peace. Gratitude helps you recognize patterns of divine care that you may have forgotten. You begin to notice how many times Allah saved you from something you desperately wanted but didn't need. How many times He delayed something only to replace it with something better. How many times He strengthened you through a hardship that once felt unbearable. These memories become evidence, living proof, that Allah's plan has always been wiser than your expectations. The more you acknowledge this, the more natural it becomes to trust Him with the future. Gratitude becomes the bridge between your worries and your feet. Practicing gratitude also teaches your heart to focus on abundance instead of scarcity. Fear thrives when you believe that there won't be enough. Not enough success, not enough time, not enough love, not enough opportunities. But gratitude opens your eyes to how much you already have. It shows you the warmth in your relationships, the stability in your daily life, the resilience you've built through your challenges, the skills you've developed, and the countless blessings you once prayed for. When you recognize that Allah has always provided, your fear of lack slowly dissolves. You begin to trust that the provider will continue providing in His perfect timing. Another powerful effect of gratitude in 2025 is how it transforms your expectations. Instead of expecting the worst, your heart starts expecting goodness from Allah. This is not Navi optimism. It is worship. It is living with the belief that Allah is all latif, subtly arranging every detail of your life with tenderness. It is believing that even if the path ahead contains hardship, it also contains guidance, healing, and growth. Gratitude shifts your internal dialogue from, I'm afraid of what's coming, to whatever comes, Allah will be with me. That mindset alone changes everything. Gratitude also reduces the noise in your heart. Fear of the future often comes from comparing yourself to others, feeling behind, or feeling uncertain about your purpose. But when you practice gratitude, you return to yourself. You stop measuring your worth through timelines or achievement. You begin to trust that Allah's plan for you is unique, perfectly tailored, and unfolding with divine precision. Gratitude frees you from the pressure to force your life and invites you to embrace the pace Allah has written for you. Moreover, gratitude strengthens your spiritual resilience. When you thank Allah consistently, in ease and in struggle, your heart becomes anchored. You start understanding that even if the future is unknown to you, it is not unknown to Allah. And if it is in His hands, then it is safe. Gratitude builds this conviction slowly, softly, and deeply. It trains you to face tomorrow with a heart that says, I trust you even when I don't understand. And that is the essence of true faith. In 2025, a year filled with rapid change and uncertainty, gratitude becomes more than a practice. It becomes a spiritual survival tool. It keeps your heart steady and your soul connected to the one who knows where you're going long before you do. Gratitude shifts your focus from fear to faith, from doubt to certainty, from anxiety to tranquility. It reminds you that the future is not something to fear, but something to walk into with the quiet confidence that Allah's plan is always better, always wiser, and always filled with hidden mercy. Through gratitude, your heart learns to breathe again, not with worry, but with trust.